Hello and welcome to the Carla Knits podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, crocheting, and always all of the yarny goodness that I love. Today is Saturday, January 18th, and I'm coming to you from my home in Nebraska. A big hello and welcome to all new and returning viewers. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I'm excited to catch you up on what I've been working on the past month. I hadn't intended on taking this long of a break, but that's what happened. So I have some things to share with you today. And thank you to those of you who reached out to check on me, just to see that I was doing okay. I really appreciate your kindness, kind words and thoughts. So thank you to those of you who were checking up on me. We'll get into some finished objects, some works in progress, and then some chatter on the end just to catch you up on what's been going on here and going on with me. So I am very excited to share my first finished object. If you've been with me a little while, you know I was really excited about this project. So here it is. This is the Gift of Christmas Afghan, and I'll try to hold it up the best I can. And I'll try to get a photo of the whole thing in its entirety to insert. But here is my blanket. So this is the Gift of Christmas Afghan. This is a crochet project by Anita Gibney. She ran it as a crochet along back in the fall. And I found out about it several weeks after it had already started, but when I saw this Afghan, I just knew I wanted to make it so bad. I love Christmas, and I think the colors are just so fun. So I had ordered this yarn from Wool Warehouse, and I just love the fun colors in this Afghan. A lot of it is Wendy's Supreme DK. It's an acrylic yarn, and then one of the colors is a Stylecraft color or a Stylecraft yarn. I loved every single minute of crocheting each of the different squares. So you can see there's the bauble, there's tiny gifts, crochet granny gifts, stripes, baubles. Just so it really kept my interest with all of those different blocks. So each of those was a pleasure to make. After all 36 were completed, I did lay them all out on a table and I did steam them, and it helped them lay a little bit flatter. You know, some of the edges were curling, so it did help them lay flatter. And then I had the task of putting all the rectangles, squares together, and that definitely was not my favorite part. But I put a big table out in here, so there's a table in this room, and I started working on it in strips, and then joining blocks, and then joining strips till it was finally put together. So that was it got faster as I went on, but it was a little tricky at first. But the instructions are great for this pattern. Video tutorials, very helpful. So every step of the way you are guided in how to make this blanket. When all of that was completed, it was time for the border. And a few weeks ago, I got started on the border, and I quickly realized I was running out of the white for the border. So I was like, oh boy, what am I gonna do? We live not too close to any, Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Michael's. We don't live that close. We're still about 45 minutes to an hour from those. But I had gotten the yarn, from Wool Warehouse in London. And so I just thought, you know what? I want my whites to match. If they don't match, that's going to be really, noticeable. So I did go ahead and place another order to Wool Warehouse. And of course, like you do, you want to make it worth your while to order order from them, you know, so you get the free shipping. So I did order, you know, other things besides the remaining white that I needed. Anyway, it took maybe a week and a half after I realized I was running out to get that order, and then I sat down and finally was able to complete the border. It has, I had the red there, it was just the white that I needed around the border of the blanket. So now it is very complete, all finished. I absolutely love it. I think the bows on the packages are just adorable, and this is going to be such a fun Christmas blanket for years to come. I probably will leave it out a little while. We have all of our Christmas stuff down, but this is just so bright and colorful. It makes me so happy. So I'm at least gonna leave it up in my room here. Yeah, because it's just, the bright colors are just so cheery. So very, very happy with this project. If you are ever looking for a fun blanket to do, this is absolutely so much fun. So you know, I will definitely be watching for different blankets from Anita Gibney in the future. She does have some really nice patterns. So that is my first finished object. Just a couple today. I have a completed hat, and I did not write the yarn down, but I know this is Lionbrand, the Fair Isle yarn, so it's a self-patterning yarn. And I had been looking at it for a while, and I finally decided that I was going to go ahead and buy this yarn. The pattern I used is the Old Bean Hat by Polly Outhwaite. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I believe, yeah, it was for an Aran weight yarn, and this is categorized actually as an Aran weight yarn. I know sometimes worsted or Aran, but I think on Ravelry it is categorized as Aran weight, and it's definitely thicker. But I will say the hat is a little snug for me. I did not make it for myself, so that's fine. I am planning to donate this hat. So one of my plans this year is to make hats to donate. Last year I was able to gift a number, or to donate a number of hats to a local charity, and I thought, you know, I have enough yarn. I certainly can take time each month to work on a hat. So this worked up fairly quickly, and I really love the self-patterning yarn. I made the brim extra long so that you could fold it, up. So I think it will be a really nice warm hat for someone. Then my last finished object is a pair of socks, and I do believe I showed these as a work in progress on my last podcast. So this is a vanilla pair of socks. So that just means, you know, I do my ribbing, I do my leg, my heel, my cuff, you know, all of that. There's no written pattern for it. It's just the pattern that's kind of been in my brain all these years that I've been knitting socks. So the yarn does enough that the sock itself doesn't need a pattern. This is Aktiv yarn. I don't remember the number, but it will be posted down in the show notes below. So all things I talk about will be listed down below. But Aktiv yarn in the Tinsel colorway, and I just think this is such a fun self-patterning yarn. I just love this. So very fun, very Christmassy. This is actually a Christmas gift for this coming year, so in 2025. So I'm already planning on working ahead. I wasn't exactly sure when I started these socks who they would be for, but I do now. I do know now, and so that is my first completed Christmas gift for this year. But I just think these are so much fun, and the yarn was really nice to work with. I think I have maybe two more skeins of Aktiv yarn on my shelf, so this will be really nice to work on those too at some point. So those are my finished objects for today. going on, let's see, I did not write proper show notes. I kept putting it off because I don't feel like I have my act together right now. I'm a little scattered, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do the best I can. I'll jot just a couple of things down, and then I'm going to talk to you all and just share what's going on. So I hope you'll forgive me if it's a little scattered, but we'll go on into some works in progress. So when I last spoke to you in December, it was during Advent season, Advent knitting and crocheting, and I had swapped 3 mini skein sets with different friends from our Ravelry group. And so I was opening mini skeins. These were 10-gram minis, and I was crocheting granny squares using Knitty Natty's Scrappy Granny pattern, a free pattern on Ravelry. So the idea is I'm going to make these squares and eventually put them together in a blanket. So I showed the ones I had done in December, and let me show you the final ones that I worked on. So I believe I have a total, I think I have a total of 35 that I made this year. One of the mini skeins, the yarn was just a little thick, and so I wouldn't get the same amount of rounds, so the gauge wasn't working quite as well. So I got 35 squares. Aren't these so pretty? I love that one. So this was just a really fun, easy project to work on in the month of December. So most of my crocheting knitting time probably was working on these through the month of December. And I looked at my bag where I have all of my granny squares from last year, and I haven't woven in any of the ends, which is a little unusual. I'm usually better about weaving in ends. That one's really pretty too. But I have not woven in ends on any of my granny squares. So I have stacks of granny squares, and if you can see in here, more stacks of granny squares, all that need to be ends woven in. So I think at this point I'm going to plan on that being a summer project, taking time to weave in the ends on these granny squares. I think that will be a really easy thing to do when I have time off in the summer. And then, you know, I'll lay them out and kind of see where I'm at with all of those, all of the squares. But a very, very fun project to work on. I'll just set these off over here. My next work in progress, sorry, I'm just reaching down here, is in this sweet bag by Susan of Delightful Works. Isn't that a cute bag? Yeah, I'm still very much into my Christmassy bags, and it is Christmas, but I think of this as just cheery winter too. You've got the sweet candies, you've got snowflakes. I just love this bag, so bright and colorful. In it, I have a sock that I am working on. This yarn, this very pretty yarn, is Lazy Bee yarn. This is a Nebraska dyer. So I picked this up at a local yarn store in Lincoln, Knit Paper Scissors. So it is in the colorway Scenes from the Snow Globe, which is a lovely name for the yarn. The yarn is really nice. It's a 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, and there's 480 yards in this, but it's actually a really plump sock yarn and very, very soft. But here is the first sock, and I'm actually doing the toe decreases. So I was in the car last night and I started doing the toe decreases, and it just got too dark, and yeah, I'm not going to try doing toe decreases in the dark. So, but the yarn is so pretty and so bright. I absolutely love this skein of yarn. And I know I had looked at it at the store a couple times, and then I finally did purchase it. So I really do love this colorway. Very fun. So that is one of the socks that I am working on. Again, just a vanilla sock. I've just really been craving, I guess, more simple things to grab at the end of the day. You know, just very easy knitting, very pleasant to work on, something very mindless. And this sock, excuse me, has also been coming along with me to work in the case that I have any breaks in my day. Excuse me. The second work in progress I have is still in my Advent bag. So this is the bag that I was using for all of my Advent squares, the crochet granny squares. This is a bag by Barley Pearls, and it's a numbered Advent bag, which is just so cute. But again, the colors are so cheery. I just love it. So I had my granny squares in here, and then I had lots of leftovers from the granny squares. So I divided them into little balls of yarn between two bags, and I am working on a pair of Scrappy Socks using all of the leftover minis, and I am working on them at the same time. So not two at a time, but in tandem, in conjunction with. So here are my Scrappy Socks. Aren't they fun? Oh, I just love them. These are so fun to work with. And Elaine, if you're watching, it just made me think of you, because I do think of you as the queen of Scrappy Socks. And just so much fun to work on. I had wondered about doing a pattern with it, but I thought, no, for this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and just do, again, plain vanilla knitting and just change the sock yarns. So I am, you know, through the heel flap and gusset decreases, and I'm working down the foot. I certainly will not use up all of the mini skein scraps for this pair of socks. I believe I had a total of, I'm wanting to say 60 grams or 70 grams of sock yarn just from those little leftover scraps. So that's quite a bit. So I'm getting, you know, a full pair of socks, and then there's still going to be leftovers. I will say for the heel flap and gusset, I did not think any of the minis would get me through the whole heel flap and gusset. So I used some yarn in my stash. This is Mint Rain yarns in the Night Bus colorway, a Harry Potter reference. And I just think that's really a fun pop of color for the heel. But I absolutely love these. These are a joy to work on. I have not woven in ends as I go, so I will have a number of ends to weave in at some point. But I have done one pair of Scrappy Socks before, and I really didn't mind the weaving in. It just took some time, but that's all right. Just really very much enjoying this pair of socks and the changing colors. So this definitely will not be my last pair of Scrappy Socks. I just have one more work in progress, excuse me, and it is living in this bag. And now I don't know if this one has, oh yeah, it says ginger root bags, and I don't believe she sells bags anymore, but this is definitely one of my favorites. In this bag is a sweater project that is in the very beginning stages. One of the Christmas gifts that Jeff gave me for Christmas, and I'll get into some more of that in chatter, but it is this Knitovation book. It's by Andrea Rangel. So Knitovation Stitch Dictionary. So color work patterns. And I definitely haven't done any color work in a while. And I do have a few color work sweaters, but I thought there is a sweater in here that I thought I really do like the looks of this. Let me see if I can find it now, or find a good picture. Let's see. I'll try to cover the directions up. But there is the sweater. It's shown in that it looks like either a dark grayish blue with gold, or they have a lighter version with kind of like a tan or camel color with that bright pop of red. And the sweater just kind of really spoke to me, and I thought it would be fun to make this from the book that Jeff got me. So this is called the Midnight Garden Pullover, and I have had this yarn in my stash for a few years. This is, I believe I got this from Hobby, and this is, let's see, Mayflower Easy Care Merino Classic. It's a DK weight, and I have quite a bit of this. It's a fairly affordable yarn, and it's very soft. It's been very soft to work with. So I've had it in this pink, and I know when I first bought it, I wanted to hold this with scrap yarn to make, it was a pullover with a turtleneck, but after thinking about it for a while, I realized that would be so many ends to weave in from all of those I was going to hold scrappy, like fingering weight with it. I thought, oh, that is going to be just crazy. That might be more ends that I want to work with. So then I thought about different cardigans, and then I finally thought, you know what, I will use it for this sweater. So a little bit unusual of a pairing. I have this pink, and then I have this, and the cakes are looking a little sad, but this is a fingering weight, which I'm holding double. So the pattern is a DK weight, but I'm holding this yarn double. And I couldn't find the tag today for this. I want to say it's a knitted wit yarn that I've actually had in my stash for a number of years. I won this from a podcaster who no longer podcasts. And I can't even remember the circumstances of how I won the yarn, but it came as a sock set with beads to make, you know, a pretty pair of Valentine socks, which would be lovely, but I've never done it. So I was actually, you know, around Christmas time seeing, like, online or in stores, pink sweaters with red accents. And so this kind of looks a little Christmassy, but it also reminds me of Valentine's Day. So I paired the two together, and I will say I'm still not completely sure about this, but this is just the baby starts of what I have for the sweater. So got it cast on, worked my short rows. The short rows written were wrap and turns, but I adjusted it to do German short rows because I do like those better. And this is what I have so far. You do go back to the neckline later on, and it will be a what is the term? I-cord edging with the red colorway. But I really do like how this is working up. So the red is definitely a tonal yarn. So there are variations in the yarn, which I don't know if those are showing up on camera. I imagine maybe they're not, but in person I can see the variations in the red color. So I'm really excited about trying this colorwork sweater. Yeah, I don't know. So it's definitely giving me the Valentine's Day vibes, and you know, I don't plan on having it done for Valentine's Day this year. And so I thought, well, should I wait? Should I start on something else? I'm like, no, this is what you want to work on. So you should go ahead and work on it. So, yeah, so I'm really enjoying the process. Again, it's really fun to try color work. I feel like I'm still probably early intermediate stages of color work. Maybe intermediate stages, because I have done a couple of sweaters, well, quite a few sweaters, but I don't feel like my color work is, you know, as nice and neat as it could be, but I try really hard. I did gauge swatch for this. I actually had to go down a needle size, and it just might depend on, you know, the yarn that I'm using, the designer's gauge, but that was surprising to me because I usually have to go up, but I did have to go down a needle size. But yep, just the very beginnings of a sweater here. So those are my finished objects and my works in progress. That's all I have been up to the past month. So we'll just get into a little bit of chatter. Yeah. Okay, I debated about talking about this, but I will just briefly mention this and continue going. In early December, I was in a car accident, and it was actually before my last podcast. But I did manage to do that podcast, and it was fine. But yeah, I was in a car accident. I did have to go to the hospital, but I was fine. The other driver was fine. I just had a bruised sternum. You know, it was very scary. It just happened in town, but my car was totaled, and I was very shaken up about getting back in a car. So that was happening in the midst of all of the busyness of my job. If you're new, I teach piano at an elementary school and at a college. And so it was the final week of classes at the college. You know, I was helping the students prepare for their keyboard exam. So it was a highly stressful time, but I managed to get through that, you know, got done, got on Christmas break, and then just the hecticness of the holidays, you know, come upon us. And we were looking for cars, and, you know, we were going to have our son coming home from Texas, and we're doing holiday baking and wrapping up presents. Just, there's so much to get done in the month of December. You all know that. So it was just a really busy and hectic time. I actually had hoped to podcast, you know, every week in the month of December. And after that, it was not realistic, but I'm glad I did get that last podcast in, and it was really fun for Jeff and I to play that duet. So thank you for the kind words from you guys on that. You guys like hearing us play, which is really, really sweet. Christmas was wonderful with our kids. Everybody was home, and it was just a wonderful time. Yeah, just, you know, fun opening presents, fun being together, you know, fun with, you know, just eating dinners together, watching movies, playing games. It was just a very, very special time. Then our daughter Jenna has been home. She had a longer Christmas break, so she actually just left yesterday. So she has been home this whole time. So it's been wonderful spending some extra time with her. I'm going to share a couple things that I got for Christmas. Then I'll go back to some more chatter. But it was definitely, Jeff was very sweet with knitting related things. So like I said, he did get me this knitting book. So it has over 150 different color work motifs. It does have some patterns, but this would be more to maybe design your own project, or to use these charts in, you know, other projects that you might have a hat that you want to add, and so it gives the stitch counts and everything. So he gave me this book and a new fiction book. So this is a new series. This is a craft fair knitter's mystery. So a wicked yarn, and that is by Emmie Caldwell. I am partway through the book, not as far as I would like. Oh, I'm in the 90s. That's not bad. But it's very enjoyable, very light reading, but very, very enjoyable. Let's see. I was just wondering if there's any, nope, no patterns in the back of the book, but there is going to be another book because there's already a little snippet from the second book. So if I like this one, you know, I can go ahead and get the next one, but really sweet. He's always thinking. And then, let's see. Oh yes, he got me this, this light. I'm going to blind all of you now. Okay. So this neck light, which has been so helpful in the evenings. I do sit, you know, on the couch and I do have a light right beside me, but still at night, especially when I was working on those Tinsel socks with, you know, some of that black yarn, it was hard on the eyes. And so it was, this has been very, very helpful. Just gives me, you know, some really good bright light to work on projects. That was sweet. And then you probably can't see, but I have little knitting yarn ball earrings, which he also gave me. So very sweet. And I know some of you might be wondering, you know, what did Jeff think of the blanket? So I did put the blanket in a Christmas gift bag, and I wrote from Grandma Marie and Carla. So of course he was, you know, very, you know, unsure what was going on. But then he opened it and I told him, you know, this was from your grandma. This is a project she started. And, you know, actually 2/3 of it were, you know, was knit by her. So he was really thrilled to have this blanket. He's been using it almost every day since then, you know, to cozy up, you know, when he watches TV or, you know, takes a nap after work occasionally. But he was very pleased, and he, you know, we took pictures, he had the kids take pictures, and we sent it to, you know, his family, and he explained, oh, you know, Carla did this, and this was Grandma Marie's project, and, you know, she finished it. So I know it meant a lot to him, and, you know, it made me really happy to complete that project. And now I see it, you know, in our living room, and I'm very happy to have finished that for Jeff. Another little Christmas gift, which I just have to share. This is from my friend Lois, who is one of my in-person knitting friends. And she knit this little sock, I shouldn't say little, this sock, well, tiny socks, but this sock bookmark. And isn't that just the cutest? Isn't that just so sweet? I just love it. So that is so fun. And another knitting friend gave me some stitch markers. So it was really, really fun. Let's see, am I getting through all I wanted to talk about? Oh, another gift that came. This was absolutely amazing. This is from my friend Candy. Hi Candy, if you're watching. She is my birthday buddy. We share the same summer birthday, and she sent this to me. So this is 6 skeins of linen quill to make that triangle wrap that so many people have made. Isn't that just beautiful? I hope you can see through the plastic. I was blown away when I opened this, and this was just so kind and thoughtful of you, Candy. So thank you again so very much. I have taken the yarn out of the package to feel it. It feels really, really nice. So at some point, that is the project that I will be making with this beautiful, beautiful yarn. Back to work, and that's actually what the last few weeks have been busy. So since Christmas, I was getting ready to go back to work, and my schedule doesn't change at the elementary school, but it does change at the college. So since I teach private lessons and the student schedules changes, you know, everything kind of changes around. So the last couple weeks have been busy trying to get my schedule set up. it turns out that I work every single day now, Monday through Friday. It's usually, well, some mornings I start at 7:40 in the morning with lessons, and I go till about 4 o'clock every day except Tuesday. Tuesday, I only do the mornings because for, well, it's 12 years now, or it's going on 12 years since 2013. There has been a Tuesday knitting group, and we are still meeting, and that is so special. So I absolutely keep that Tuesday afternoon time open so that I can have that time with my knitting friends. But the rest of the days are very, very full. Between the college teaching and the elementary school teaching, I have 39 private students, and I have one section of group piano. So trying to fit 17 are at the elementary school, so the remaining are at the college, so 21, 22, trying to figure out and look over schedules and figure out how to fit all of those people in was definitely challenging. So this past week was just my first week back to both jobs, and so it was a very busy a very busy week, and this is definitely the busiest I have ever been with my teaching, which is a blessing in some ways, but it also means that I have less free time during the week, and I think that has contributed to the podcast being so delayed. So having said that, I don't know that I will be able to keep up with a consistent podcasting schedule. Frankly, I'm just exhausted when I get home from work. To be honest, I'm just tired. And so, yeah, it just might not happen as often. When I started the podcast, it was every week for a while, and then it went to every other week. And so now we might be pushing it a little bit longer, or it just will happen when it happens. When I feel ready to come on and share all that I've been working on, I surely will do that. I miss hosting knit-alongs in the Ravelry group. I miss doing Zooms. I haven't done those in a while. But at this point, I just don't have the extra time. So I apologize to those of you, but if you enjoy, following along to see what I'm up to, then that is wonderful. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. And that's not to say those things won't happen again in the future, but at this point in time right now, it's just going to have to be a little bit easier for me. So I will record when I can. Last year I was super gung-ho about my Make 9 project boards. I had all of these plans last year, and after reflecting on all of them, I had 3 Make 9 boards. I had a whip board, works in progress. I had just sock patterns, and then I had, other new projects I wanted to do. And I did tackle so many of those things, and I do feel really good about the progress I made on those. I feel like a sneeze is coming on. Sorry. And then I also had the goal of working through stash. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I did fairly good on working through my stash, or working with my stash yarn. I still have a lot of yarn over here, which I'm sure a lot of you do too. But I will say, once December hit, and towards the end of December, I kind of really got the bug. And so I did purchase some yarn, and yeah, I'm probably not going to show it because it's in all various places. So some are for projects that I have in mind, but I'm not sure yet when I'm going to get around to those. So one of my friends, hi Joanne, asked if I would be doing a Make 9 board, and I just, not at this point, not at this point. I know in December there were so many things going on in my head. I had so many things I wanted to do, so many different knitting and crochet things and patterns that I was seeing. And finally I just like, okay, I've got to jot this stuff down. So I took a little scrap of notebook paper and I just started writing all these things down. And Jeff and Jenna are like, well, what is this list? And I just like, all of this is in my head. It just needs to get out on paper. And so I did. So it did feel good just to jot some things down. But I'm like, okay, you're trying to do, this is just way too much. You're just trying to put way too much stress, and you're just making this, you know, more stressful, and you're giving yourself anxiety over this. And this is supposed to be, you know, knitting and crochet are supposed to be a fun hobby. So I will say that I am definitely slowing down a little bit. I am slowing down with making plans. I have a list of things that I want to do, but I'm not starting all of them, you know, right now. It feels good to do some vanilla socks, and then the sweater I've only picked up a couple times when I've had a little bit more free time to do some color work and to concentrate on that. But I feel like maybe my knitting, you know, the projects, I'm just gonna let it evolve as it evolves this year. And I could change my mind because I'm definitely a planner. I like to organize my thoughts. I like to organize things I'm gonna do. But right now, I'm just gonna try to take it a day at a time. That's what I'm trying to do. So I would love to hear about your knitting plans for the year. If you're doing a Make 9, if you're working through your stash. I do plan to still work through stash. You know, that I think that's going to be an ever ongoing goal, is to keep working projects from stash. But I know there will still be occasional yarn buying. My mom gave me gift cards to Joann's and to Hobby Lobby for Christmas. Hi, Mom. So, you know, there will be some yarn buying there. So thank you. But I will still try to focus on working through some of that stash yarn that I already have. I think I have come to the end now. So thank you so much for being here today and for listening to me, for sharing some of your precious time with me to catch up on the crafty things that I've been up to. I love hearing from all of you. So if you would like to share comments down below, I would love to read those. Tell me what you're working on. Do you have Make 9 plans? Do you have stash busting plans? I would just love to hear from you. I hope you all had a good Christmas season and a happy new year. I wish all of you the very best in this new year of 2025. And I will say goodbye for now and hope to see you sometime soon. Take care. Bye-bye.